Good morning. Welcome to Reading the Science of Mind, a philosophy of faith, a way of life in 1 year. I'm Reverend Rafe Ellis, Senior Minister and Spiritual Leader of the Center for Spiritual Living Common Ground in Central Maryland. Today is January 16th. So let's see what we have to read today. There we go. So today we are reading from page 77, paragraph 5 through page 80, paragraph 3. We begin with mental laws. As we think of the medium of radio transmission in terms of law, so we should think of the mental medium in terms of law. For the mental medium must be the law of mental action. While we might think of it as the mind of God, we could not think of it as the Spirit of God, for the mental medium is automatic, while the Spirit must be self-knowing. We could not call the universal medium of mind God any more than we could call electricity God. The universal medium of mind is but one of the many attributes of God, the avenue through which God operates as law. We should differentiate between universal mind and universal spirit. As we examine the subjective, we find it to be both intelligent and conscious, without knowing that it is intelligent and without being self-conscious. All law must be subjective. The soil knows how to take a seed and make a plant from it. It does not know whether it is making a tomato or a potato. If this were not true, all of the laws of nature, we could not depend on them. We should be confronted with caprice. One of the most difficult problems to realize when we are dealing with the law of mind are that dealing with an absolutely impersonal thing. It knows how to create without knowing what it creates. Therefore, we must distinguish between the law of mind and the spirit which uses the law. The ancients taught that there is an infinite self-knowing spirit. One of the oldest sayings in the world is, "Spirit is the power that knows itself," in addition to which there is an infinite law, which knows how to do but does not know what it does. This law is the karmic law of Buddha, the laws that bind the ignorant and frees the wise, as Anne Besant stated it. It is the cause and effect of the West, but it is not to be confused with kismet, which is fate, because its tendency can be changed. There is a law in the universe which operates in a certain way according to the tendency set in motion, and does so mathematically inexorably. We cannot destroy the law, but we can redirect its movement. Just as we plant seeds and later decide we wish something else, we go out and uproot the first seeds and plant others in their place. We are not destroying the soil. We have simply determined to use it in a different way. When we are dealing with subjectivity, we are always dealing with that which is subjective to the conscious volition. Subjective in subjugation to, must operate on as it is given something. That's how I have to remember it. It's in subjugation to. The conscious volition in the universe is what is meant by the Spirit or God. The mental medium, the universal subjectivity, the law, right? That's the thing that is subject to Spirit. In subjugation to Spirit is the servant of Spirit, is the doer of the Word. The Word being the ideas, the belief, the desire to express. Plotinus speaks of it as the doer, but not a knower. He called it a blind force, not knowing, only doing. This is the principle which we use in practice. We should distinguish between conscious volition as spirit and subjective law, which works with intelligence but not self-conscious awareness. When this is realized, we shall no longer be superstitious about our use of the law. It has been difficult to get away from such superstitious reactions because of a theoretical rather than a scientific approach to the subject. The law we are discussing is simply a law of nature, a force of nature. It happens to be a mental force and an intelligent and creative one, like electricity, which will either light our house and cook our food, or will electrocute us if we use it incorrectly. So let's pause there for just a second and get really clear that what we're talking about is spirit and the activity of spirit, the mechanism of manifestation of spirit is law, and then form. One of the ways that helps me think of this and actually, take it out of spiritual terms and put it in nuts and bolts that my brain can grasp, it's kind of like mind, the mental part, the spiritual part, is research and development. It's the place where the ideas happen. It's the place where imagination is happening. And then research and development, mind gets an idea and sends that to the department that makes it happen, right? So you got research and development, and then you've got manifestation. And that turns it into form. It fills the order that it's given, exactly the way it's given it. Right? It just manufactures what it's given. It doesn't second guess it. Doesn't ever send the work order back and say, the engineers checked this out and it's not going to fly. It doesn't do that. It just acts upon it and manufactures what it's been given. And then, that's the distribution center, right? It goes to the distribution center, which is this physical realm of form, and it's distributed all over this 3D realm, right? So you've got the mental, mind, spirit, the fulfillment center, which is the manufacturing, that's the operation of law. Just makes the product, makes the desire, makes the idea. And then you have form, which goes to the distribution, and it's distributed throughout. That helps me think of it in people terms. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, don't use it. Find something that works for you. So let's see what else we have this morning. The threefold nature of God. We find then, as we study our own being, we begin to deduce what the nature of God, or the universal being is. There is no way we can know God except by studying humanity. Now, this is important, folks. Someone may say, God reveals itself. Yes, we think God reveals itself to us, but only by revealing itself through us. We know about God only as we judge what God must be by studying the nature of those things which we can somewhat analyze, plus that infinite feeling we have of eternal verities. If we study the true nature of humanity, not the conditioned behaviors of humanity. If we study the true nature of humanity, then we shall have delved into the real nature of God, or first cause, from which humanity springs. As we have found that humans are threefold in their nature, we must deduce that God is threefold in its nature. That God is spirit, or self-knowingness. God is law and action. God is result, or body. This is the inner teaching of the Trinity. God as self-knowing spirit means the divine being whom we have always thought of and believed in, the being to whom we have prayed and whom we have adored. God as law means the way in which spirit works. The law in this sense would be the servant of the spirit. God as body means the manifestation of the spirit. Trinity of being. This trinity of being appears to run through all nature and all life. For instance, there is electricity, the way it works, and the results, which is light or motive power. There is the seed, the creative medium of the soil and the plant. Turn it as you may, we are confronted with the necessity of a trinity of being. Throughout the ages, this trinity has been taught. Every great religion and every great spiritual philosophy has taught this trinity. Father, Son, and Holy Ghost is the Christian Trinity. It is the thing, the way it works, and what it does. The thing is absolute intelligence. The way it works is absolute law, and what it does is the result, manifestation. The action of the thing itself is what the Bible calls the Word, absolute intelligence. So that's a lot to take in. And I've already offered some commentary. I will offer you this. Spend the day with the idea of the Trinity, the threefold aspects of anything in mind, and just watch where it shows up for you all day long. Be open to seeing it everywhere it exists and see how that changes your perspective. And we're going to start right now by seeing how it shows up in our meditation. We're going to go into our 5-minute meditative practice, and I invite you to just be present with what is. Just take 5 minutes to just be and see what comes up. Here we go. as I allow the breath of life to breathe me deeper. I recognize it is the breath of life breathing me. That life is living itself as me. That the thing I refer to as me is simply the vehicle of spirit, the form of spirit. And that what is in me, the essence of me, is spirit. That more than made in the image and likeness of it, I am made out of it, by it, to express it. That the very life I am living is an intentional, one of a purpose, idea, desire in the heart of creation itself to live life as me. Individualized as Rafe, as husband, as minister, as pet parent, as grocery shopper, as fisher person, as everything that I do. Life expressing and being made out of the substance of life itself, being made out of pure consciousness, absolute reality, that triune nature, the activity, the creative process of consciousness itself is the very makeup of my being, empowered by it to use it to free or to enslave, to uplift or to tear down, to empower or to degrade. And so I choose to affirm the truth of all being. I choose to see beyond all behavior to the truth of being. I choose to own the connection and kinship beyond behavior with the essence. I refuse all ideas of lack, limitation, and separation. I eradicate them from my awareness, from the operation of thought within me, just as quickly as they arise in the memory of the individualized me and the collective. I let them go. I speak truth to the lies of limitation, that life is abundant, and I am life in form, as is every form of life, equally abundant. That the concept of more than enough, even as it is a lie, because there is no such thing as more in infinite. An infinite affluence, unrestricted flow is the birthright of all. So I claim the totality of that. And I claim that we are each awakening to the balance of use. That we live in integrity with the whole as an integral part of one. Releasing every sense of separation, be it ownership, be it finances, be it power, property, money, prestige. We live consciously, intentionally, from and on a level playing field, understanding that the value of every expression of the infinite must be equal, made from the same substance. That accomplishment does not equal value. That makeup, substance, is the valuation of all life, and all life is equal. And so I recognize that law has already received this word, that blind doer has already done its job, has already received the impress, the involution, the movement of consciousness as idea, as imagination, as invitation, has already received it and acted upon it. It's done. No waiting period. No hunting it down for the parts. Just done. So I move through this day in that belief, open, knowing that it's already fulfilled. I look for the evidence of things not seen but hoped for, knowing that the substance has already made it so. And I celebrate the full magnificence. I release anything that would in any way diminish my full experience and celebration of the infinite goodness of my being and all beings. Ashe. Shalom. Aho. Amen. Amen. And so it is. Namaste.